rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start, physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, welcome to episode 178 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. 7 steps to success in any area. So quite often, I'm always trying to find a way to streamline every process that we're working on, that I'm working on, that I work with clients. And we're just currently running a 6-week transformation program at the gym. And we're into week 4, starting week 5. And this is where I find it gets a critical level, because those that are doing well are doing well. Those that are struggling are still struggling with some of the basics. As honestly, it's just they just haven't accepted what they have to do. And they're still looking for that, what's that one thing that Kurt hasn't shown us yet, or we haven't read about, or we haven't found, that shiny object, the secret that's missing to make everything to work for them. And at this point, this is where I like to address the 7 steps. And this is something I came up with a little while ago, and I'm always refining it. I think originally it was 5 steps. But over time, I've added a step or 2 just to make it more complete. But again, just to systemize it and keep it relatively simple. And, those, like I said, that are doing well, this is important too, because you want to keep that momentum going. But it's for the ones that are struggling, the ones that still haven't, I wouldn't say they're not committed, they're not believing what has to be done. The information's been presented, it's been shown, and they just haven't bought into that overall. So a little frustrating on a coach's side, but again, as humans, we can understand that humans are frustrating. And at the same time, us too, we too, ourselves can be guilty of doing this sometimes, especially when it's an area that we struggle with, that we have struggled with. If it's something that's easy for us, then it's easy for us. But it's when we're in an area that requires real change, real mindset shift, real action taking, that's where we're going to struggle a bit. So we're going to get started with that today. So I've broken it down into 7 steps, and what we're going to do is we're going to go over them and then just talk a bit about them. Are they in an order of importance? I think so. But I mean, depending on the person, that can also, of the 7, there might be 2 or 3 that you're pretty good at, but there's 2 or 3 that you really need to focus on. So we'll start here. Number 1 would be consistency. I think just the far most important thing every day, whatever you're working on, it has to be front of mind, and you have to consistently work towards it, consistently do the things that have to be done. So again, we'll talk weight loss. The consistency has to happen in the food prep. The consistency has to happen in the measuring of the food. The consistency has to happen in just following the food plan, just eating what you're supposed to eat, irregardless of emotions, irregardless of social situations. You need to be consistent. Eating really good for 2 days and wondering why you don't have a great weigh-in, right? It just doesn't work that way. Eating really good for 6 days, you'll have a pretty good weigh-in. Eat really well for 7 days, you're gonna have a great weigh-in. It's consistency, right? It's not do really well for a couple of days, fuck shit up for a couple of days, and then get back on track. You're lucky if you're gonna have a net 0 loss or gain at that point, especially early on, right? Once you've got momentum, once you're 6 to 8 weeks into a weight loss and you've lost weight for most of those weeks, you'll dodge the odd bullet. Right? But at the end of the day, you're also playing with fire, because we can gain that weight back really fast. But consistency. If it's getting up earlier, be consistent with it. If it's doing whatever it is that you're working on, especially the small things that have to be done, consistency is going to win. Consistency will far outdo skill. Consistency will far outdo luck. It's consistent, right? Look around you, people that are successful in any area that you wish you were, you'll see they do certain things consistently. So that's the commitment level. You need to be consistent. Number 2 would be supervise your activity. This is really cool too, especially when we get a little bit older and we have a lot of things pulling on our time and demanding our focus, and we're involved in a lot of things. supervising your activity is basically another way of saying do a time audit, do a daily audit. Take your journal, which you should have a journal with you at all times now. If not, then, maybe this should be step number 8, have a journal. I've spoken about this often enough, but you have your journal, start a time audit. From the moment you get up, 6 a.m., quick note, what are you doing? Getting, my morning stuff. That's good enough. 7 a.m., what am I doing? I'm on the bus to work or I'm driving to work. 8 a.m., all right, I got to work, this. And then break down the hours. What is it you're spending your time on? Do this for 2 days. Do this in earnest, right? Make it count, right? Do the best that you can on this. And then I want you to sit back and look at your 2 days. Where are you spending your time? What's getting your attention? What are you putting the most energy towards? And are those things the things that are moving you towards your goals or distracting you from your goals? Right? That is a super valuable tool that you can do, because we're going to catch ourselves inevitably spending time in areas that feel good, so we like to spend more time there, that avoid the hard things that we have to do, right? Or you'll find that you're actually taking on a lot of things that are just not part of your plan. And again, this always goes back to, do you have a plan? Do you have a purpose? Do you have an end goal in mind? So you might be that person that wants to please everybody, so you're saying yes to everything, you're taking all kinds of stuff in, and then what happens is you're behind all the time, or you're overwhelmed or overworked trying to maintain all those commitments that you made. And in doing that, you're falling behind in your other things, in your health, in your exercise, in your other aspects of your life, your relationships, right? So then you got to look at, where are you spending that time? We only have so much energy, and we only have so much bandwidth. That means we can only take on so much that we can actually do really well. And if we spend the time on the activities that move us towards our goals, then we're doing the right thing. If we're spending a bunch of time on things that at the very least don't do anything for us, but at the worst take us away from those goals, lead us down a different path, that's where we're going to plug up some leaks. That's where we're going to find there's ways to improve some efficiencies. That's where you're going to learn to start saying no. No to what comes to you. No to yourself. Oh, I want to do this. No, you haven't finished this yet. That time audit is super, super valuable. It's an eye-opener. Number 3 is limit your distractions. So kind of feeding off number 2, I should say. What are your distractions in your life? So for me, and a few episodes ago, we talked about me giving up TV in January. I got a shitload of stuff done in January. It was good. And I don't feel like I missed out on anything. If there was a movie or two that came out, I watched them in February. This is coming out in March. I'm recording this in February. But even now that we're into February, I'm not watching as much TV. Kind of wean myself off it. Everyone has a favorite show, and there's a great movie you want to watch. I don't have a problem with that. We need some downtime. But it's that when we sit there and watch one episode, and the next thing you know, we're into the second season, and we've got the big wear stain in the couch because we haven't gotten up in 6 hours. That's a huge distraction. Social media. Again, social media can be great. As business we use it, and for entertainment, I enjoy it. But you can quickly go down a rabbit hole on YouTube or Facebook, right? You can sit there and watch one cool video from someone that you like, and next thing you know, there's always suggestions either from the same person or someone else. And again, 40 minutes can fly right by. So what was supposed to be a 15-minute break in your afternoon, because you should take a break mentally from what you're doing a couple times a day, became a 45-minute waste of time. So set a timer. Give yourself some limits. Our own social habits, are we part of a dart league on Tuesdays that we've actually not enjoyed for the last 2 years, but we still go because we're so used to doing it? I always use the dart league as an example, and people say, Kurt, do you hate darts? I go, no, I love darts. I think it's a cool example, right? If you're into that, when the chickens fight there, the roosters fight, if that's how you waste your social time and stuff like that, in the back streets of Mexico betting on chicken fights, well, you know what? Stop that for a lot of reasons. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, right, we can waste time socially as well. I'm not saying don't have friends, but as we get older, we have a lot of different things, a lot of different priorities. So be friends with people that are part of your priorities. Have a gym buddy, have a workout partner. To me, that's a better use of your social time, because you have a common goal of getting stronger, healthier, and fitter. But look at those things, right? There's a point where, yes, you need some enjoyment and we need social interaction. Absolutely. But there's a point where we're just doing it because we're used to doing it and we no longer get anything from it. It even goes down to your circle of five, your influence, who you hang out with. You know, I don't hang out with anyone I hung out with in my 20s, because in my 20s I was a different person. In my 30s, I was a different person. In my 40s and 50s, I'm a different person. So, I'll run into people that I used to be friends with and hang out, and I'm always happy to see them. Some of them are still doing the same things they did when we were 20. I can't do it. I don't have the time. I don't have the space for it, right? At the end of the day, look at what you're doing socially as well as some of your distractions. Again, I'm not telling you to become a sequestered nun or live as a hermit, but what I'm saying is, look at how you're spending your time, right? And prioritize what needs your attention the most, and then decide how you're going to spend it at that point. Number 4 would be self-care. This could be number 1, this could be number 2, it's number 4. Self-care has to be a priority. Priority, priority, priority. And I'm talking about the 3 basics: exercising. Number 2, I'm talking about your food, your nutrition. And number 3, I'm talking about journaling and mindset. Those are 3 critical areas that if you want to make changes, have to be dealt with, that have to be a priority. You have to carve out half an hour twice a day, an hour a day, something that's all about your self-care. And there's no excuse not to do it. There's nothing you can show me that'll make it less important because of who you are and the type of day you have or the kind of life you live and stuff like that. There is no reason for it. It's not acceptable because it is so limiting not to be doing that. And we can stray from it. I'm guilty. Listen, I've been fit. I've been super strong. I've been super fat, right? I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've lived through those areas. I was an alcoholic. So I've been through all those things. All the things I talk about, I've been through. And I'm not a superhero that's gone through it. I'm just a guy who's figured some shit out and understands that if I don't work through these things, I'm never going to be the guy I want to be. The guy that I'm going to be in a situation where I'm proud of myself, I have the self-respect that I want, and I've acquired the progress, the vision, and the goals that I want. That's not going to happen without following these 7 steps. And it's every time that I've buckled down onto these 7 steps and I've put the consistency into it and supervised my activity and did all these things happen exponentially for the good. So at the end of the day, I'm doing myself a disservice the days I don't journal and I don't work on my mindset. I am fucking my shit up by not doing it. It's almost like self-sabotage, like you're a saboteur in your own progress. And it's simple. There's no reason not to do it, but we get sidetracked. Sometimes we get tired. Sometimes we get, we get pissed because we don't feel we're getting the gains or the losses or the advancement that we're looking for. Well, it's not linear, so stop thinking that. But it definitely does happen. There is progress, but you have to keep pushing forward. But these 3 things are critical. If you're healthier from exercise and stronger and fitter, you are tougher. You can handle more. You can get more done. You can cram more in. You can handle more stress because you're tougher. If you're eating better, you're going to think clearly. You're going to have better energy. You're not going to be tired in the afternoon because you make love to fucking Tim Hortons donuts and coffee all day long or 2 or 3 times a day, so you're crashing. You're also not starving so that you're running on the other end of that as well. Now people say, oh yeah, but when we change our diet and we lower our things, I feel, yes, of course, when you make changes. The first week when you drop your calories, it's going to be a little dirty. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the little bit of heavy lifting at the beginning when we change things. That you have to suck up and just say, it's par for the course. You're paying for your sins. You got to move forward. But once you're in that groove and you're eating better and moving better, it makes a huge difference. And then sitting down with that journal daily, twice daily, spending some time, deciding who you want to be, deciding how you want to think for the day, deciding how your day is going to be no matter what comes at you. You decide. If we don't do those 3 things, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen consistently. You are not going to move forward as a whole. Number 5, wake up earlier. Even if it's by 15 minutes, wake up earlier. Give yourself a little more time to get stuff done the way you want it done. Get a little more time in your pocket for you. Our most valuable resource at this point, especially, it's always been, no matter how old we are, but if we're over 40, over 50, our most valuable resource is time. Because every minute that we live through, we never have back. We never get back. It's a downward ticking clock. Nothing we can do is going to change that. You know, there's a great saying I like, and I'll try not to fuck it up because that's what I like to do, is when we're young, we spend all our time trying to make money. As we get older, we'd spend all our money to get back some of that time. So think about how you're spending your time. And if we look back at the first few steps we went through, it's about what you're doing with your time. So waking up 15 minutes early. Now, listen, it's not about, have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning if you don't normally have to be at work till 10 o'clock. It's not that. I don't have to be at the gym till 1 o'clock, so I like to usually get up around 8, right? Unless I'm super tired, then I'll get some extra sleep. But I like to get up around 8 o'clock. Because then I get up, do my stuff. By 9, I'm ready to do errands. I'm ready to run around. I'm ready to read. I'm ready to do whatever has to get done early on. But that's still well in advance of me having to be at the gym. Currently, I work the gym from 1 p.m. to 10. So at the end of the day, right, if I'm getting up at 8 and I feel like I need to get a little more done, I'll get up at 7:30. If I have an important meeting, I'll get up a little bit earlier. A lot of people that work normal hours, meaning 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 7 to 3, they're getting up at, 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's probably the norm. But the problem is a lot of them are getting up, and as soon as they get up, they're behind. They're rushing. They're forgetting things. Right? They didn't do any food prep, so you know what? They didn't bring 2 meals to work. Well, you know what? You're not going to be consistent with your food consumption that way. You're not. They're getting up, and they're rushing to get the kids ready. They're rushing to get the day started. They're rushing because they haven't organized things enough throughout the day, throughout the week, the night before, to avoid that. So I'm working again with the 6-week group. And the second week in, we started talking about getting up a little bit earlier. But at first I asked, I kind of do one of those loaded questions. So I ask everyone, what time are you getting up in the morning? What time do you have to leave for work? So I get them all to write that down. Then I say, okay, in that, most of them, they're giving themselves about 45 minutes. I know there's always that couple that they have 15 minutes and they're scrambling. There was one person actually had a really good morning ritual. I was really proud of them. It was really cool. It's no wonder, by the way, they're one of the ones doing the best on this program. So once they wrote down what time they got up and what time they left, and they started filling in the gaps of everything they're doing, and I go on through it with each one of them, none of them except that one person had any what I call me time. That 10 minutes minimum where you sit down and think about your day, crack open a journal. None of them had a journal going, right? No meditation, no movement, no exercise. A very busy hour, right? Getting stuff done, on the go, let's go, and then, get the ride and get to work. So they're on the outside, they're getting shit done. But really, they're not working on themselves. They're just going through steps of things that have to get done. And I agree, things have to get done. So my first challenge was, if you don't want to get up 15 minutes early, find a way to carve 15 minutes out of that time you currently use to sit down with your journal, pen and paper, and start off with just 3 things: who I am, what is it my goal is, and what am I going to do today to move towards that goal. Sometimes we need a little start. Sometimes we need a little fill in the blank to get started because we don't think naturally a certain way, or we don't know how, right? So we want to follow a little something. The next week I talked to them and I asked them, who in the group has gotten up earlier to get this done? Who has found 15 minutes in their day to get it done? How did they do that? What did they move around? And who hasn't done it? And I'd have to say that third week, I was probably equal between the 3 camps. A third of them had found 15 minutes to start doing that in their morning already. And they had organized some things. They had moved some things to do the evening before. They had figured out a couple of ways to do things, on a weekly basis. A third of them had gotten up 15 minutes earlier. And a third of them hadn't made any changes at all. If I look at the results, That's kind of the way it's broken down too. A third of them are doing very well. A third of them are doing okay. And a third aren't doing. Because, again, like I talked earlier, they haven't bought into what they need to do. They haven't taken it on. They haven't owned it yet. But that's all from a simple exercise of just waking up 15 minutes earlier. Listen, I'm tired. Well, then go to bed half an hour earlier to make up for that 15 minutes. You don't have to stay up till 11 o'clock. You don't have to spend 2 hours in front of the TV or on the computer or playing Candy Crush. Knock it down to 90 minutes. There's half an hour more. Go to bed. The room is there. The space is there. The capability is there. We just have to do it and decide we're going to do it. Number 6. That's me turning the page. That's the page sound effect. Luke's got some crazy stuff going on these days. A weekly check-in, meeting, or accountability system. So, super valuable. One of the things that we always done in our 6-week challenges, that we had the Monday night weigh-ins. And the Monday night weigh-in, when we first started, was a Monday night weigh-in, and then we did a special workout. And along the way, I realized that we need to spend a little more time with them headspace stuff. So it became a Monday night weigh-in and then a group chat. I would have a specific subject based on, what week we're in and what kind of stuff I figured they would be encountering. And then we would just open up the floor to comments, questions, that kind of thing. What we've added for this last one that I really like is we actually do a Sunday night Zoom call. And the Zoom call is basically like a video conference. Everybody gets in front of their laptop or their iPhone. We call in at a certain time. We're all connected, and we run basically, it's like an online meeting. So we do that Sunday nights at 8. And what's cool about that is, again, it's another touch point where we get a chance to talk about specific subjects, go over questions, especially early on about the food and all those things. Right? But what it is, it's part of the accountability, part of that checking in, part of that being present, thinking about what your goals are. For in this case, for this transformation, it's a reminder, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what you committed to. Because we can get lost. We can get busy with other things. Things can happen to us. And then next, it's been 2 weeks, we haven't weighed in. It's been 3 weeks, we haven't, right? This weekly check-in that we actually do twice, Sundays and Mondays, right? It gives them more touch points, keeps it more front of mind, keeps them in the group. Now, I'll tell you right now, the third that's not doing well, they're not showing up to either one of them, right? These things we do in a certain ways because they make things happen. The results happen. I have a couple of people that haven't shown up to any of the Sunday calls. I'll look at their weigh-ins, haven't gone down, a pound or two up, staying the same. I have another couple of people that don't come into the Monday night weigh-ins. I can't, I'll weigh in the morning, but I can't come, that kind of thing. You know what? I look at their progress, not happening. They're avoiding it. So because you're avoiding the potential of bad news, then you have no consequence throughout the week to want to do better. At the end of the day, we need to set ourselves up in a way that there is accountability. There is the, showing socially, hey, I'm not doing my work. It's not to punish, it's not to embarrass, but it is to hold ourselves to a higher level of standard. Because there is no reason not to do it when you've committed to it. And like I said before, if you can't commit to something for 6 weeks, we have to work on some deeper problems, some deeper issues. Or you really just don't want it. You say you do, but you're really not, in the drinking game, we say you haven't hit your bottom. You'll buy the program, you'll go a couple of times, you're excited at the beginning, but then the old ways kick in. Your habits kick in. You're not willing to change any of them. But you thought, hey, this is the time, this one's going to work. But what you didn't do is go into it eyes wide open saying, you know what, this is going to suck, I'm going to have to work, and this isn't going to be easy. But it has to be done. If you go in with that mindset, shit gets done. By meeting weekly, it keeps our goals and objectives fresh. It reminds us why we're doing this, what we're into. Number 7, I think my favorite one. This is the latest thing I've added in the last little while. You need to ask yourself, when you get to a situation that you're challenged by, that's difficult, that you're struggling with, you need to ask yourself, what would your hero do? How would your hero handle this? What would Jesus do? What would Elvis do? find a mentor or a hero that's doing or represents the epitome of what you want to get done in whatever area you're working on. So you can break it down into relationships and life. You can break it down into business or work. You can break it down into your health and fitness. You can have one for each. You can have one person that represents it all. I'm a kid who was born in the 60s and hit my teens in the 80s. So, of course, one of my heroes is Schwarzenegger. You know, Stallone, Rocky. Rocky 2 came out when I was 11 years old. I didn't see it till I was like almost 20. Didn't know about it. We didn't have TV, with channels and shit living in the country. Rocky 2, my favorite movie of all time. You want to talk about something that inspires me and motivates me? It's fucking Rocky 2. I watched it last night. Just need a little extra punch. No pun intended. But that movie fires me up, man. At that end, that battle, and at the end, yo, Adrian, I did it. Man, I get goosebumps. And that fires me up. That's something that just does it for me. I'll often go to that when I need that little extra piece, when I'm struggling with something, when I'm feeling that I'm overwhelmed. And that's okay to feel that way if you're doing things, if you're moving towards your goals, because often when we're moving towards things that are big and are different, we're spending some time outside our comfort zone. So we get a little scared, we get a little overwhelmed. That's okay. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, but find ways to get through it. Rocky 2 is one of the ways that fires me up. I watched it, and I watched the beginning, which is the end of the first fight. Fast forward to the last 25 minutes, and I watched that whole process about her saying he can go and fight, and him training, and then him going through the fight and at the end. So that 30 minutes fires me up like crazy. Loved it. Put my head where I needed to be. Went to bed. What would your hero do? If you're not happy with your relationship, if you're not happy with the relationship you have with your kids or your spouse or your partner, look around. Who's got a relationship that you admire? Could be in your social circles, could be someone you know of. And then study them, because that leaves clues. That success leaves clues. They do things a certain way. They say things a certain way. They speak to their kids a certain way, or their spouse or partner a certain way. They do certain things. It leaves clues. Anthony Robbins says it all the time. Success leaves clues. Follow, study, emulate. If it's someone in the business field, who's got a business, who's running a business, or who's achieved the business success you wish you had? Doesn't even have to be in your same field. Because there's certain patterns that happen that make a difference, that lead you to success. Doesn't matter what the business is. These 7 steps, I believe, will help you in any area that you want to improve. So who's doing it business-wise? At work, who's one of your colleagues that you wish, they're higher up, they get shit done, they're well-respected, right? You wish you wish you could have that. Well, what are they doing that you're not doing? I guarantee you they're not coming in late. I guarantee you they're not leaving early. I guarantee you they're not on 7 coffee breaks. They're getting shit done. They're doing the job at a higher level before they're asked to do it. That's how they get the job. When they're asked to do something, they don't come up with excuses and piss and moan. They see an opportunity and they take it. They want to improve. Those are the clues. Now, when we start to look, we might not like what we see because we're not willing to do some of that stuff. But that doesn't fucking matter, because that's how the shit gets done, whether you like it or not. In health, who's got a body the way, who's your age, it's got a body the way you wish your body was, who's got the energy level the way you wish you had it, is doing the activities the way you wish you could do them. Because I'll tell you right now, if I'm 50 and there's another 50-year-old guy who's jacked out there getting shit done, if he can do it, I can do it. So what is he doing that I'm not doing? That's what it comes down to. What is he doing that I'm not doing? Study, watch the clues, but then be ready to do them. Even better than asking yourself, what would your hero do? Why not become the hero in your own life? Become the hero in your own movie, as Joe Rogan would say. Live from that point of view. Be the fucking hero in your own life. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and reinvent yourself. Take yourself to that next level. Overcome what you have to overcome. Learn what you need to learn. Toughen up where you have to toughen up so that you can look back and go, fuck, I did it. These are 7 steps that are valuable. We're going to list the title of them in the notes. Start following this, guys. Take those 7 titles, write some notes, make it fit for yourself. In 30 days of applying that, you're going to see you have a change in your life and in your world around you. I guarantee it. That's all I have to say for now on that, guys. Head on over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, make that part of your 7 steps. Leave us a 5-star rating. Head on over to hostilegear.com. Use the code word Silverback to save 20% off your 7 Steps to Success hoodie. And as always, guys, work hard, motherfuckers. And I'll talk to you guys later.